November 23rd, 2014, from the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia. It was the Cleveland Browns at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons won the toss and they elected to receive. So they would start this game off on their own 19, but after 6 plays, they would punt from their own 45. So now Cleveland would take over with about 13 minutes left in the first. They start on their own 15, but after 5 plays, they would punt as well. So now the Falcons got the ball for the second time in this game. They started their drive on their own 43 with about 10 minutes left in the first quarter. They brought the ball across midfield and into the Cleveland Browns territory. And then on 2nd and 10 from the 24, Matt Ryan dropped back to pass and he found Julio Jones for a 24-yard touchdown to put the first points on the scoreboard, as it was now Atlanta 7, Cleveland nothing. So now the Browns would take over with about 6 minutes left in the first. They start off on their own 20, and they would move the ball across midfield and down into Atlanta territory into the red zone. And on 2nd and 10 from the Atlanta 11, Crowell ran it in for an 11-yard touchdown to tie this game up at 7 apiece. So now the Falcons would take over with about a minute and a half left in the first. They're backed up against their own end zone on their own 9-yard line, and they ended up losing 6 yards on first down when Matt Ryan was sacked by Rubin. And on 2nd and 16 from the 3, Rodgers gained 7 yards on a run, and that brought the first quarter to a close. So after 1, this game was tied up at 7. So starting the second quarter, the Falcons were on their own 10-yard line. It was 3rd and 9. Matt Ryan dropped back to pass, and he was intercepted by Joe Hayden. So now the Browns would take over on the Atlanta 29. They were already in field goal range. They got into the red zone, but their drive stalled on the 15, and they would bring out Billy Cundiff to attempt a 33-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Browns took the lead with the score Cleveland 10, Atlanta 7. So now the Falcons got the ball with about 13 minutes left before halftime. They had it on their own 23. They picked up a first down, and they ended up with a 3rd and 3 on their own 43. And Matt Ryan was sacked by Paul Kruger, and Kruger forced the fumble, and Bryant recovered. So now Cleveland would take over with a little over 11 minutes left before halftime, and the ball on the Atlanta 40. They would end up picking up a first down when Hoyer hit Josh Gordon, who was back for his first game after the suspension, and he had a 17-yard reception on this play, and that made it a first down on the Atlanta 23. Their drive, though, would stall, and they would end up bringing Cundiff out to kick a 37-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and it was now 13-7, Cleveland over Atlanta. So now the Falcons took over with about 9.5 minutes left in the second quarter. They had the ball on their own 20, but after 7 plays, even though they reached Cleveland Browns territory, they would end up having a punt from the 43. So now Cleveland would take back over with a little less than 6 minutes left before halftime with the ball on their own 20. And they would end up reaching midfield. And on 2nd and 5 from their own 49, Crowell ran for 7 yards to make it a first down on the Atlanta 44. Hoyer then dropped back to pass, and he was intercepted by Ishmael. And so now the Falcons would take over with less than 3 minutes left before halftime with the ball at midfield. And on first down, Matt Ryan hit Julio Jones for a 21-yard reception to make it a first down on the Cleveland 29. Then on 2nd and 2, Steven Jackson picked up the first down with a 2-yard run to make it a first down in the red zone on the 19. Then on 3rd and 4 from the 13, Matt Ryan went back to Julio Jones, this time for a 5-yard reception to pick up the first down and make it 1st and goal on the 8. Matt Ryan then went to Rodgers for a short pass, and he got into the end zone for the 8-yard touchdown, and this put the Falcons back in the lead with the score now 14-13. The Browns would now take over with less than a minute left before halftime. They had the ball on their own 20. They did bring it across midfield and into Atlanta territory, but with time running out, they would have to attempt a 60-yard field goal on 3rd and 5 from the 42. Cundiff came out. It was up, but it was no good. It was short. Devin Hester ended up catching it, and he went to return it, and he almost scored a touchdown, but he was tackled, I believe, around the 31 of Cleveland. So at halftime, the score was Atlanta 14, Cleveland 13. So coming out of the locker rooms at halftime, the Browns would get the ball first. They would start off on their own 20, trailing by 1. And on 3rd and 6 from the 35, Hoyer hit Hawkins for a 40-yard pass that would make it a first down on the Atlanta 25. they would end up getting into the red zone and all the way to the 5-yard line. But on 3rd and 5 from the 5, Hoyer was sacked for a 9-yard loss. It was actually 3rd and goal. And that would bring out Billy Cundiff to attempt a 32-yard field goal. It was Beerman who got that sack. So the 32-yard field goal by Cundiff, it was up, it was good, and the Browns were back in the lead now by 2 with the score Cleveland 16, Atlanta 14. So now the Falcons would take over with about 10 minutes left in the third, but after 6 plays, they would punt the ball because they didn't get anything going. And so now Cleveland would get the ball with about 6 minutes left in the third. Is that drive ended up being up about 4 minutes, but Cleveland now had it on their own 30, and on 3rd and 5 from the 35, Hoyer hooked up with Miles Austin for a 13-yard pass that made it a first down on the 48. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 49 of Atlanta, Terrence West ran for 9 yards to make it a first down on the 40. Hoyer then hit Gordon for a 9-yard pass, and then West ran for 2 yards and then 3 yards. And now it was 2nd and 7 from the 26, and Isaiah Crowell ran 26 yards all the way to the end zone for the touchdown to extend the Cleveland Browns lead to 9 points with the score Cleveland 23, Atlanta 14. So now the Falcons would get the ball with less than a minute left in the third quarter. They had it on their own 20. They would bring the third quarter to a close when on 3rd and 6 from the 24, Matt Ryan hit Devin Hester for a 16-yard pass that made it a first down on the 40. But after 3 quarters of play, the score was Cleveland 23, Atlanta 14. So now the Falcons would start the fourth quarter with the ball on their own 40, and they would move it across midfield when on 3rd and 3 from the 47, Matt Ryan hit Harry Douglas for a 7-yard pass that made a first down on the 46. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 46, Matt Ryan hit Roddy White for a 10-yard pass to make it a first down on the 36. And on 2nd and 4 from the 30, Ryan went to Toliololo for a 9-yard pass to make it a first down on the 21. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 14, Ryan went to Julio Jones for a 9-yard pass, and it would be 1st and goal from the 5. And after a 4-yard pass to Roddy White, it was 2nd and 1 on the 1, 2nd and goal, and they gave it to Steven Jackson, and he ran it in for the touchdown, and it made it a 2-point game as it was now Cleveland 23, Atlanta 21. So now the Browns would get the ball back with about 9.5 minutes left in this game. They would start off on their own 20-yard line. They would bring the ball across midfield and into Atlanta territory, and they got all the way up to the 6-yard line. It was 1st and goal, but Hoyer was intercepted by Trufant, and so now the Falcons would take over on their own 20s. They got the touchback on that interception. So the Browns are right there ready to score, but instead of getting even a field goal, they end up turning the ball over. But the Falcons would not turn the turnover into any points as they would end up punting the ball 5 plays later. And so now Cleveland would get the ball back with the lead still up by 2 with 3.5 minutes left in this game. They had it on their own 16. But then on 3rd and 7 from the 19, Hoyer was intercepted for the 2nd consecutive possession, this time by Southward. And the Falcons had the ball back with a chance to take the lead as they were down by 2 with less than 3 minutes on the clock, and they had the ball at midfield on their own 45. Then on 2nd and 10, Matt Ryan went to Julio Jones. He almost picked up the first down, but he was a yard shy as it was now 3rd and 1 on the 46, and this game went to the 2-minute warning. Steven Jackson then picked up the first down with a 3-yard run to make it a first down on the Cleveland 43. Then a couple plays later, they would be faced with a 3rd and 2, and an incomplete pass would bring out Matt Bryant to attempt a 53-yard field goal. It was up and it was good, and the Falcons now led by 1 point with the score Atlanta 24, Cleveland 23. So now the Browns got the ball with just 44 seconds left. They had it on their own 20, down by 1 point. Hoyer dropped back and he threw an incomplete pass on first down, and then on 2nd down he dropped back and he hit Miles Austin for an 11-yard pass and made it a first down on the 31, and Cleveland took their first timeout. Hoyer then went to Josh Gordon for a 24-yard pass that brought the ball across midfield into the Atlanta 45 as they took their second timeout. Now on first down from the 45, Hoyer dropped back and he went to Barnridge for a 15-yard reception that brought the ball to the 30 for a first down, and they used their last timeout. So now with just 16 seconds on the clock, Hoyer went to Austin for an 11-yard pass, and that made a first down on the 19 right there in the red zone, but time was ticking down. Hoyer rushed up to the line and he spiked the ball. So now with just 5 seconds on the clock on the 19, they brought out Billy Cundiff to attempt the 37-yard field goal. It was up up. It was good, and the Cleveland Browns win this game on the final play with the field goal. And the final score, 26-24, as they win by 2 points. And with the victory, the Browns are now 7-4 on the season, 3-2 on the road. And the Falcons are 4-7, 2-3 at home. And in this game, Bryant Hoyer was 23 for 40 with 322 yards passing, and he had 3 interceptions. He also had 12 yards rushing off of 3 carries. Matt Ryan was 27 for 43 with 273 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He had 6 yards rushing off of 2 carries. The leading rusher in the game was Isaiah Crowell with 12 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. West had 14 carries for 62 yards. And actually, West had 9 yards off of 1 reception. And the leading receiver was Josh Gordon in his return in his first game this season. After coming off the suspension, he has 8 receptions for 120 yards and is a big contributor to help the Browns beat the Falcons in Atlanta. Roddy White had 96 yards off of 9 receptions. And on defense, the leading tackler in this game was Kamal Ishmael. He also had an interception. He had 11 tackles in the game. The Falcons had 1 sack. That was Bierman. And the Browns had 3 sacks. Robertson was their leading tackler with 9, Craig Robertson. And Rubin had a sack, and Paul Kruger had 2 sacks. Joe Hayden had an interception, and as we said, Ishmael had an interception. The Falcons, as well as Trufant and Southward. So the Falcons get those 3 picks, but the Cleveland Browns come away with it at the end with a game-winning field goal in the final play of the game, and the final score, Cleveland 26, Atlanta 24.